Welcome to Undressing Intimacy, where we cut through the bullshit
Quickie,
so we can get naked.
you can say that.
Why not? How would you say it then?
Well, maybe more like, welcome to Undressing Intimacy, where we undress emotionally so we can undress physically.
That's exactly what I said. Not sure what the problem is. Welcome to episode number
73.
I like that number. You have any idea why I like that number?
No, literally no idea.
Take a guess. It's not 69.
No, 73. Some player that you like? SVG?
No. No. Good guess, though. That is a very good guess. That was my number when I played football in high school, number 73.
Oh.
I inherited it from my brother-in-law, who was actually a good football player. I was not such a good football player, but I tried. Very coachable, but number 73, offensive defensive line. So it's a special number to my heart.
Oh, I think I knew that somewhere in the back recesses
back
of
in
my
your mind,
mind,
yeah.
but I'd forgotten that it was 73.
Last time we engaged in my high school football, I got in lots of trouble. But do you remember that?
A newborn baby that you left me abandoned in a cold car?
We went to homecoming and I got myself in trouble. So anyway, let's not tell that story because we want happy stories today. It's a happy story day. First, before we get started, we want to remind everyone we have a community coming up. What day is that community?
Tuesday, February 24th at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. So 6:30 Mountain, 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern, and on and on.
And it's never too late to join. We had a very fun time last time. Enjoyed talking to everybody there. This time, we would love to put someone on the hot seat. Maybe I shouldn't say it that way, or we might get people
We would
scared.
love to coach someone live so you can all experience what it's like to be coached and also to watch coaching. I'm like 50-50 as to which one is more helpful. I love to be coached. I think I learned just as much from being coached as watching coaching because we all share so many similar struggles, and I don't know which one is actually more helpful. But what we want to do is invite you and your spouse to be that couple. So email us. There will be a weekly email also going out with you can reply to that to make it really easy. Email us at Amy@Langford Life Coaching or Greg@Langford Life Coaching, or message us on Facebook. Let us know if you want to be that couple being coached. And yeah, I think you will benefit from not only getting both of us, which is more of a rarity, but also having the chance to get a free coaching because you won't be charged for it.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. You learn a lot. I actually stepped into a coaching session that Amy was having, a group session the other day, not on purpose. We were in Florida, Jacksonville, Florida, visiting our granddaughter, and I was in the hotel room where she was hosting this, and I couldn't help myself.
My microphone, I forgot the little thingamabobber so you could hear.
I was
But
listening in, but it was good.
Normally you can't hear anything. But anyways, he is a great coach and I love coaching with him. And I think it's also really helpful in the world of marriage and coaching to have a male voice representing men, where there may be a lot of females. And although I have learned so much about my other half and about the other gender, I am not a male.
Yeah, there's something at some point when you're asking people to do hard things, and we do that, right? Because to be able to engage and really change our marriage, it's hard work. When someone can look you straight in the eye and say, I've been there.
Mm-hmm.
I've suffered and through what you're suffering right now. And I can't guarantee that you can overcome the same things that I did, but here's some things that I learned when I did it. And here's some things that helped me overcome it. And I think that's a more important thing, more than knowledge or being the same gender or anything. It's literally saying, yeah, I get you.
Mm-hmm.
Having that empathy because you've been in that position.
Yeah.
More than be able to know that. I mean, Amy knows all the steps to help our male friends be better. If you listen to everything she says, that's why they will be good. I can have the empathy with you because I've been there, done that on most of these things. So it's fun. We would really enjoy being able to do that coaching with y'all. and be able to have people sit in and ask questions, and
Mhm.
that will help too. So
I feel like
please.
we all learn again, whether we're coached or being coached, and whether we're watching or being coached, we always learn. And there's so much to gain from either perspective.
I think there's a phenomenon too that goes on. It happens at retreats and it happens in these group settings. When we're looking at the camera and we're talking about things that are struggles, and you see a lot of head bobs,
Mm-hmm.
it's everyone looking around and saying, I'm not alone. The number one thing people learn is the females usually feel like they're broken and they feel like, okay, I'm not broken.
Mm-hmm.
The males usually feel frustrated because they don't feel chosen. And we're like, you're not the only one that feels frustrated and doesn't feel chosen. And it's just everyone in the community bobbing their head and say, yep, I'm there.
Or we've had that fight, or we're also stuck in that conflict, or I also do this similar, coping behavior or mechanism. Like you just relate to so many different dynamics that all couples struggle with.
So we'd love to have you. Please go sign up, and we would love to have you part of that community. And if you want to be coached, let us know.
Do you want to put a link in the?
I will put a link in the description of this podcast for you to go sign up. Easy peasy.
Yep. Remember, it's free, won't cost you a thing. And we would love to have you join us.
Awesome. Well, we've been pushing on a couple things lately, and we've noticed some trends. And I think we've come across a few articles and some information that help us understand what these trends that are happening that we see. Most and foremost, as we introduce new concepts around eroticism and how to best practice those concepts and to have that eroticism grow and become part of our marriage, the number one thing that we see mostly is people asking for the 10 steps.
Mhm.
Like, I want to do 1, 2, and then check to make sure that I'm on the right path, and do 3, 4, and then get an attaboy,
They want
and 5,
certainty.
6, and then, that this
That's
is
what
going to
the
work out.
steps are. The steps are certainty.
And we get it, right? It happens a lot of places in our lives where we can put a process together, and I can really describe the steps that you need to take to get something done.
Mhm. To execute.
Yep. And some of the frustrating things about marriage in general, and probably eroticism specifically, is that as soon as you put that structure around it, it goes away.
It sabotages it.
It doesn't
The
allow you to do
freedom
it.
and aliveness
It's a
and
little frustrating.
no.
I'd be a billionaire if I had the 5 steps that would make your life erotic. And I think that's why you see all kinds of stuff, from toys to videos to stretches to pills to you name it. We've commercialized
Positions to
Yeah.
try this. This will make you scream, or
Yep.
this for the biggest climax, or whatever.
Yeah, it's the headlines that catch us because everybody's looking for that certainty of being able to say, hey, how do I get more eroticism in my marriage?
And they're usually pointing towards some mechanic of sex. Some do A, B, C, D, E, right? Or try this position, try this. And there are mechanics involved.
And don't get us wrong, we like positions.
Yeah.
We like to try new ones.
Yeah.
And they're fun. But at the core of eroticism and the life-giving form that it is, it does not thrive on structure. And we've talked a lot about it being alive and it being changing, being based on two human beings and where they're at and where their emotions are at and what happened during that day and what happens in the evening and last time we touched and the things that we've processed through and the things we haven't processed through. There's so many variables to this aliveness that in the moment, and this is what frustrates the hell out of me because I like to rinse and repeat. I'm like, that was great last night. Let's do it again. And I go to do the same thing. And Amy's like, that sucks. Don't touch me. I'm like, what?
I don't say don't touch me.
No, you don't. You probably should. It might be more direct. I read through the lines these days and I know like, whoa, that's not working. And it doesn't work on rinse and repeat because it is a live thing. And that's frustrating, but there is a much better payback. Like those things that are hard and you have to really try at, the payback and the results are greater than anything where I could follow 5 steps and then have the outcome happen.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about simmering and this practice of finding a space, maybe 10 minutes a day, where you and your spouse are physically close. And I get a lot of questions about simmering.
In fact, one of the questions that came up, they called it sizzling. And Amy said, we should rename it Sizzling. I'm like, hell no. I'm like, my guy friends are barely handling simmering. If you make it sizzling, you think they're gonna be able to stop without like full on sex? No, like we got to keep it at simmering. Sizzling's way too hot of a word.
Simmering it is.
So if you're listening, whoever sent that, we got a good laugh out of your sizzle
It's a great
comment.
word.
It was a great one.
It's a fun one. Um, and it comes from Dr. Steven Snyder's Love Worth Making. He was the one who coined this simmering term. But really, the practice is to find the aliveness and the connection and that sense of self as you are close to someone. I see so many people who are trying to push or produce or
Manipulate.
manipulate or force in this little practice. Like,
They have an outcome in mind to start with is the problem, and they're trying to push towards that outcome.
yeah. And the thing about eroticism is it's live, like you said. It is created in the moment. It can't be produced, it can't be forced. And it comes from that state of being, not doing. Doing is the producing, pushing, forcing, outcome focused. And that's also like the mechanics of sex that we talk about. That is talked about a lot. And when if you're really stepping into eroticism, it's not about the mechanics, it's about the art of being present, the art of being in connection with yourself and closeness with another. And art is very, fluid. It is
Right.
it is something that can't be defined. Like it is in the moment, it is live. And so I was just coaching earlier today, and this couple tried simmering. And the first week, it was absolutely amazing. They were like, oh my goodness, it feels so amazing to be close to you. This is amazing. They felt feelings they hadn't felt in a long time. They wanted to be together. They felt that attraction, that attunement. They felt desire. And they had a great week. The second week, they were like, let's rinse and repeat and produce that.
It worked last week. Let's do it again.
And you can guess what happened. It
Wah,
was
wah.
like they were irritated, they were cranky, and they were trying to produce something. And again, the moment you move into production of anything, you've lost the art of eroticism.
Yeah.
It's fluid, it's free, it's live, it's vibrant. This gal noticed like just how irritated she was. And this irritation in this particular instance was coming from trying to produce something and not getting that outcome. She was trying to force that feeling of attraction again. You can't force desire and attraction. You can't produce. The third week came around. The second week was wah, 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 which often we need some wah, wah, wah to like realize, okay, this has potential, but you can't force it. Third week comes around and settles back down again. Notices like, it's really nice to be in this space. Really nice to be with you. It's really nice to enjoy this time together, and just settled into that space of being instead of doing. And guess what?
It worked.
Simmering felt good again. It felt
Guess I
connecting.
shouldn't
It
say
felt
worked because
attraction.
there's not an outcome, right?
It's not it created that desire to be close again. And so as we were coaching, it was just that reminder that you really can't ever force or produce or push. It really comes from leaning into being and being in that moment, being in your body, being with your spouse.
I think I realized why we want that outcome and push towards it, especially as we've gone through rough years and maybe decades. It was almost 2 decades for us, right? Where this pattern was so damaging and hurtful that we are so worried about going back to those places and having those moments that we want something just to work. We want something just to be able to
I
say,
guarantee.
yeah, I'm not going back there. And so it's very realistic to know that you're going to have those desires to say, hey, I want to know there's a guarantee because it's been so painful in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with anything in life, there's ebbs and flows. And that's the scary part because when it's flowing, you're like, woohoo, let's go. This is great. When it's ebbing, you're like, oh crap, it's not going to work again. We're going back to our old selves. And it takes a few of these ebbs and flows to start trusting one another, to know that it's not always going to be 100% gas down, great sex, everything's wonderful. It's not going to ever going to be that way forever. And there are going to be moments where we have to back off and figure out our lives because we're in the middle of life, right? And where we're at. And not to panic in those ebbs. I was a good panicker, especially as this process started taking place of us changing, because I saw the goodness. I saw Amy's eyes light up, and I saw the desire behind her. And I saw that she really wanted to be part of this erotic relationship, and that she'd learned there's something within in her, that this was good and that she wanted it to be part of her. And of course, my personality, I wanted to pound that in and repeat it. And so it just took that trust to know there will be ebbs and flows to this thing, and trusting each other in the moment. But just like we're talking about it being artwork or a practice, when we struggle at something and pull back, we have those ebbs. It gives us the moments to reflect at where we're at and make better, so we're not stuck in a certain pattern. And there's always room for improvement. And I think Amy taught me this week. What were we talking about specifically when you're like, I don't want to ever stop getting better at that?
Well, we were talking on the way home from the airport, and we were checking in. We were having like
Oh,
a
yeah, yeah, I remember.
demonic, oh, excuse me, a
Demonic.
domestic,
Demonic.
no,
We're having a demonic episode.
we're having a discussion about domestic and erotic buckets and
Yeah.
where we were learning and growing in each one and how that was happening. And while I feel both of us have grown a lot on both sides of that equation, or in both of those buckets, I said to you, I don't want to ever feel like I'm finished or arrived or done, because that to me would rob me of the learning and expansion that is always happening.
It's where the greatest eroticism is found, actually, is in that learning and expansion, that messing up and realizing you didn't do it exactly how you wanted to do, the saying, I'm sorry, I'm going to try it again, that sharing of that true raw emotion, that processing through that anxiety, whatever it might be. We think that we want this golden place where there's none of that and everything's quote unquote perfect, or there's no struggle. But that's not where the closeness and the eroticism comes from. It's from the struggle, from the being able to decide to choose one another in the midst of the struggle. I was coaching an individual, and we were talking about we were just talking about simmering, and we were talking about some of these great moments of having made wonderful, passionate love. And as we were talking through these things, I can see the moments in my mind. I have 5 of them from the last 20 years, which was frustrating for him.
I think you have a whole like
I have a
library.
library of all the things we did, but if I was to say like I can probably list the 5 most passionate times that we were together. And he was kind of going through this, and then he started chuckling, and I said, what? He goes, most of them are after a good fight. Or makeup sex. And I had to go, yeah, that puts you in that place of, okay, I've put my guard down. I'm no longer fighting. And I've realized that I just enjoy being with you and want to be with you. And that's all that matters. And that allows everything else to get out of the way. And now we've kind of just blown everything to pieces, and we've pushed it off the plate, and it's clear, and there's nothing in the way for us being close. So I don't recommend let's schedule fighting. That's not a good way to do it, because the better way is you can learn from these ebbs and flows and grow and change. And that's when this great moments happen. It brings to my mind recently, we see it all over other places in our lives, and it's kind of easier to digest for some reason, but this seems to be higher stakes. And so we are very standoffish. I just made up a word. I know Amy loves it when I make up words, but we standoffish because we're worried about the outcome because it's so high stakes. I've seen this recently in my horseback riding. I was getting ready to go show. And part of getting ready to go show, I have a show saddle that's all blingy blingy, and it doesn't ride the same way as my training saddle. My training saddle is very comfortable.
Hmm.
It's very easy to get all of my
Very
places and
familiar.
positions. I ride it every day, so it's very familiar. And so I decided I'd do something really special this time, and I would take out my show saddle before I got to the show, and I would put it on, and I'd bring my trainer in, and I'd have a lesson on my show saddle. And I'm like, this is brilliant. I should do this.
Mm.
And I had this lesson, and I fell apart.
Yeah.
I literally fell apart.
Hmm.
Amy was out filming me the next day because I felt like I couldn't ride a horse anymore.
You were
And
convinced.
I was convinced I forgot how to ride a horse. And I may have used a few special words in the arena.
Colorful.
Yeah, it was awful. I'm like, this is terrible. I sent the videos to my trainer. She's like, not that bad. What's your problem? Get out of your head. But it was this ebb and flow of feeling like I have gotten somewhere. I felt like I can ride my horse. Like I can really do this. I have the capability to go show him and show his best abilities, to a moment of, I can't ride anymore. I
And the
can't
more
do
you
this.
thought that, the worse it
The
got.
worse it
'Cause
got,
I
and
was
every
literally
time.
filming you,
Yeah.
watching, and I could see your spiral until it got to the point of you like screaming.
I can't do this.
And I'm like, breathe.
So the ice storm came, and that gave us like a week and a half of actually not being able to ride. And we were gone to Florida, so I couldn't ride any of that time. So I rode the first time probably in 2.5 weeks. We had a little ride we got to go in right before that, but not very long. And it
A
was
very
freezing cold.
right?
And I was just trying to stay alive rather than ride my horse. But I got out there on Sunday when we got back from our trip, and I got to ride, and it just felt awesome again. It felt amazing because I had gotten out of my head. I had taken this moment of an ebb where I didn't feel like I could, and the frustration all around it. Instead of blowing it up and say, I quit, I'm never going to ride again, which I had those moments, I think. I had to, because I looked at Clifford and I'm like, you can't sit in the stall the rest of your life. So I had a partner.
I think that shift happened too, because it went from enjoying the experience with Clifford
To performing an
to
outcome.
performing an outcome at the show. And when your mind shifted there,
Yeah.
it was all of the comfort and
The
familiarity
joy.
and joy left.
Yep.
Like literally left.
Yeah.
And your confidence, everything just.
And I see that happen so much in our intimate lives. When we place outcomes and we start getting in our head that we need to look a certain way or do a certain thing, or someone needs to have a certain kind of orgasm. And that, if we don't, that means we're not choosing and loving each other. We're doing it wrong. And we don't have the time to be able to take these moments of ebbs and sit back and realize what's going on and get back to the basics of just choosing each other.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to be able to get through the anxiety of, it has to look like this, and just get back to, it is an art form. It is a practice. And because it's these things, it's different every time. And it's the moment of just being that allows these wonderful moments to happen.
And I think for all of my responsive desire spouses out there, something that I experience often and that I see in many of the responsive desire spouses that I coach is keeping that connection alive within themselves. The connection to their own spark, to their own vibrancy, to their own aliveness. That is a connection to their own eroticism. In an indulgent, overdone way, but in these simple ways. I have witnessed many of these spouses who put everyone else first and think that they can always run on empty. And when you're running on empty and you don't remember who you are or what you enjoy, or don't have a connection to your own desires or your own interests or your own permission to have an interest in something, you lose track of yourself. And even just a little bit of time in that space of something that helps you feel alive, that helps you feel enjoyment, that helps bring that vibrancy to you, that energy to you, really, really contributes to bringing that into the relationship. So we were coaching a couple and they were watching a video on desire. And the husband watched the video and saw, oh, my wife needs to have more sexual desire. The wife watched the video and saw, I need to just develop a relationship with desire. So she went to her husband and said, I need to play more pickleball. And he said, what? How is pickleball going to help our bedroom life? And
You just wait, buddy. She'll stay in your kitchen longer.
and I know that connection seems like so far out, but actually she was an athlete. She'd let go of all that time to move and to be alive in her body. And so permission to go be alive in her body will transfer into the bedroom. And I think something that we miss is so often eroticism doesn't start in the bedroom, especially for responsive desire. It starts in the practice of noticing what brings you energy, what brings you vibrancy, what helps you feel alive. And as you find that, you are then able to bring that sense of being, that state of energy, of aliveness and vibrancy to then the bedroom. You learn how to cultivate it and then can bring it there. Another responsive desire spouse I was coaching was just feeling numb and overwhelmed. And she is a musician and she had a chance to spend some time singing with a band. And she entered into that time feeling just irritated, numb, overwhelmed, and left it feeling alive again. And as she felt alive and returned home, her husband started to look a lot more attractive.
He's like, go sing all you want.
Things started to look up. The irritation faded, and that sense of that connection to her and what felt like her and the essence of her came alive. And that's what she was able to bring then to the bedroom. And that's a connection I think that we forget. And yes, pickleball may seem far from the bedroom. Yes, singing may seem far from the bedroom. Maybe it's a passion with sourdough or gardening or
Oh, watch
horseback
out on
riding.
sourdough. If you get on that, we have good friends that made a sourdough. I'm like, they thought the hot golf coach was maybe what would destroy the marriage, but it's just cheating on the sourdough in the middle of the night looking up sourdough pictures.
Yeah, one spouse was looking at the other. She was on the phone in the middle of the night and said, "What, are you cheating on me?" And looked over her phone and it was sourdough. Or like sourdough's the threat to the marriage.
Yep.
No, just kidding. But just this extra things, they bring life to a relationship. And sometimes when we have young kids, we have overscheduled life for them and forget that we are a part of that too, that there needs to be a little space for us to be alive. And so just remembering that eroticism doesn't always start in the bedroom. Yes, it's a great place for it in the bedroom, but it is cultivated in so many areas of our life. And even with your horseback riding, before horseback riding, I would say there was a lot more pressure on the bedroom to be the only source of life for you, of that vibrancy. And when you now have other avenues that are very healthy, very integrated, so amazing, you can bring that life in, but there's also less pressure for the bedroom to be the only space where that can come
That's why
alive.
Amy just points at the barn if I'm grumpy. Go.
Go play with your horses.
It's so true. Maybe we'll give a teaser. We won't spoil it, but we're coming up on a podcast. We're going to bring some friends in and discuss a book that talks a lot about this domestic bucket of tasks that need to be done. And in this book, they call it the unicorn time, which I think is what we're talking about here. If we don't find this time to be ourselves and find those things that make us live and be alive, and it can come from either of us. It can become from us like, hey, if I do this, then I am not giving everything I should to our family and our marriage. Because we get in this whole sacrifice kind of mode. That's especially with my women friends that love to do that. That can keep us from finding this time to keep ourselves alive. And I think from my side is that I was so confused. I thought the only thing that should keep me alive would be you, and that was it, right? Like, I remember you crying on the family. If I say this, you're always going to think she was crying. She doesn't always cry all the time, but we are newly married. Find her crying on the family room floor of our tiny little apartment, our first apartment. And I was like, what's going on? What's the matter? And she's like, I'm lonely. And I was pissed. You remember that?
I don't know that I
I
thought you
was
were pissed. I
mad.
thought
I
you were
was upset.
disappointed
Oh
that
no, I was destroyed
so I
because
came from
I had been modeled wrong in my family. Like
mm,
my dad was such an introvert. He disliked being around people. He disliked putting himself out anywhere. He could if he had to, but if he thought his whole happiness was sitting in his chair at home with my mom. And his whole life revolved around her. And I saw that and thought it was good.
it's a lot of pressure
At
on
the end of
her.
his life, I saw how bad it could be on a
Mhm.
marriage
Mhm.
and what it did to my mom. But that's what I kind of watched. And so here I'm thinking, my world revolves around you. And she says she's lonely. What the hell does that mean? And I said, what do you mean? I need friends. I'm like, hello, here I am. And
And
I
it
could not get over my mind. Like, why would she need anyone else? She has me, right?
takes a village, babe.
That was what I thought. And so it also comes
And
to
I
the
did
fact,
come from a setting in college. I had
tons of
6
friends.
roommates. We gathered every night. We chatted. We had so many conversations and so much just going on all the time. And it was amazing. I loved it. And then I met you and I loved you and we got married, but it was really quiet and
And I was
suddenly
not enough.
really lonely. And I realized then and there that I needed other outlets in addition to you. I needed other spaces to grow, to have friendships, to develop. And those don't take the place of you. You are my best friend with
Oh,
benefits.
and I realize that now. I realize how very important that is for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be whole human beings. We talk about that, right? That means our interests aren't exactly the same. The things that make us feel alive aren't exactly the same. I was trying to force that in because that's what I had seen, to be bluntly honest, my dad do to my mom. That's the pattern that I've been taught, to force that sameness in. And it is the same reason why I was dying in the bedroom, because I thought it needed to look the same. And that's where I was at when I realized that it's not the case and that we needed to be two whole individuals to be able to be together and have this eroticism happen. Then allowing each other to have different interests and supporting each other, and it's just fantastic. It's the space that's given for life to be breathed in, and then to share that life together.
Yep.
It was, I don't know, maybe I'm the only one, but I think culture does force us down this path of sameness. Like we have to be the same.
I think sameness feels like safety.
And maybe it's just the safety, and maybe I bit into it more, but I look at it and it's the same. If I look at it and I'm critical of it, looking back at my life, it's the same thing that caused me problems in all areas of my life.
So there's this idea in psychology of us and them, and there's a tribe sort of mentality, and there's a group think mentality that says, if you think like me, then I am safe, or then this thinking is correct. And so there's this sense of safety in group think or in the idea of an us. And it's okay if others are them as long as there's some that is us, right? And so maybe what you saw was they sought safety in an us, and it was okay for others to be different, but they also collapsed under the weight of that and didn't allow themselves to individually progress.
Yeah, I think it also leads to the fact that's how we measure ourselves. And it's probably back to the validation whore part of me, right? Wanting to say that I'm okay. And if people thought different than me, if you needed something besides me, if your interests were different than mine, then that devalued mine or didn't give me the validation the things that I wanted to do were good. I remember having that for a very long time in our marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Because you didn't want to sit down and watch football with me, that meant to me, why is this not valuable? Should I not like football? And in the extreme, when we do this, and I did this, and I went to Toxic Independent, I'm like, fine, I'll never watch football again.
I don't remember you ever going through that phase.
It was a very short period of time.
Like,
Maybe I just said it in my head and it never really happened.
yeah, I don't ever remember you going through a no football.
Okay, it happened in my head. No football. Okay.
Okay, maybe your head went there, but I never recall a phase where there was no football.
I'll tell you when the phase was, and you probably don't recall it because it was such a dramatic and awful time in our lives.
Oh,
It was post-pornography, and happening. And I was in such a, I have effed up so bad that I have to go be a perfect husband for you to even want to keep me around.
Mm.
Like she told me she might not even love me anymore. I'm not so sure about this because you're messed up. And so everything I did was walking on ice. And I know that season I watched no college football. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is,
Which I am, you know, that
and I'm not saying that to make you
very
feel
sorry
guilty.
for
I know
that.
it hurts every time I bring that up, but it's just reality of where it was. I mean, it hurts to know that I hurt you too. That should be that way. We should never celebrate that we've caused hurt, but realizing that marriage is going to do that too.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's not the lack of causing hurt. It's the ability to grow up, to learn, to overcome. That's where the goodness comes from, and especially in a marriage. And so it's that
And
pressing
I
those
think
points.
I'm thinking of football. By the way, football was one of our hot topics. We fought over football a lot. I'm thinking too, you thought that maybe football wasn't good or that I didn't love you because I didn't sit with you. And I thought, why does he want to spend so much time in front of a screen when I'm right here? We could be out doing something so fun. Like, why is football more
We
interesting?
could go on a walk.
Why is football more interesting than me? And so, again, it was that idea of we should think the same about this or about how we use our time or how time should be spent. And if you really loved me, you wouldn't be interested in football. You would want to spend time with me.
Right. And it goes back to just the way we were raised and why, and I mentioned this on a previous podcast, right? And I think when I mentioned on the podcast that Amy hadn't really thought about it this way, it was the way I grew up connecting to my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Like the moments of watching football together. Every Saturday, we would go do yard work and listen to KSL football pregame show, and then we would end up in front of the TV. My sister has this funny recording of us cheering together, my dad and I, and he's no longer here with me. Right? But that was the way that I connected with him. And so talk about my want to rinse and repeat. That's what I do, right? So yeah, I enjoy football, the very sense of it. I played it. Enjoyed watching it. I love it as a game, but it was also a connective state in our family home. We'd come home from church on Sunday and we'd turn on the 49er game. That's what we did as a family, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so those are the moments for doing it. You had none of that. Your thought of football was going and cheering your brothers on because they played.
Right. I was a cheerleader. They played live, and I like live football. I like in the moment right there. All my brothers played. That's super fun. But watching on the TV, hard pass.
So again, this is a long story to get back to the point of we're different.
Yes.
And the things that bring us life are different. And we shouldn't shy away from that. Now, if it takes us away from each other and it drives wedges in that can't be overcome because we're always doing that thing and never paying attention to each other, we
That's
coach a couple.
indulgence, though, right?
It becomes that way. We have a couple that's the way that they've learned to zone out because they can't communicate together. And so they go do the thing that lets them buffer, right? And it's not the life-giving form, it's the buffering form. And I think those are two very close things, by the way. They can be similar, but if we find ourselves using it to buffer and avoid, that's not the healthy stuff. If we find stuff that breathe life into us, that's what we're looking for and what we're talking about. Because that's where we can bring together in the bedroom. That's the life-giving form that we can share. And we don't have to like the same things as each other. It always reminds me of the coaching couple you had, of the lady that loved birds and the guy just thought birds were the stupidest things in the whole entire world. And you're like, it's not about the bird, dude.
Mm-hmm.
It's about caring about her enough to realize what brings her life and joy and to find an interest in her.
In the birds. Yeah.
Get down to it. And I think that's what it's about. It's these things that are hard to list and to check. And that's the whole reason why they're erotic, because you can't put a checkbox around it. And as soon as you do,
here are the 3 steps to create vibrancy. Here are the 2 ways to feel energetic. Here is the 1 way to create. It's really when you move into a state of being and you start to listen to that inner self, that self is what creates. That self is the creation. It is the aliveness. It is the energy. And so that is hard to describe.
And being curious about your spouse's things that bring them life, being willing to support them in all the ways that you can. Or this brings you life, And I know I was thinking about this the other day as we were driving home and having this conversation domestic. I probably tease you way too much about plants. And the reason
I
why I do
love
it is because I
plants.
spend a lot of money on a horse and she spends a little bit of money on plants. And so there's only one thing that I can tease her about because she keeps buying plants. And I think if I tease her enough, she'll forget about how much money I spend on a horse. Probably not. She does the math. It won't add up. Not even girl math best. It won't add up. And so I give you a hard time about it, but really in the sense of it, like supporting you. Yes. I love your plants. I love that you grow and you tend to them and you nurture them and it brings you happiness and joy, and supporting her in that bad habit.
It's a beautiful house. I love all kinds of plants,
Yes, you do.
indoor, outdoor. I love
We have
to
a
watch
jungle
them.
in our house.
We have the Garden of Eden.
Mhm.
That's what my son said. When we first moved in, I had all my plants in the kitchen. So normally
We got kicked out a long time ago because I partook of your fruit.
they're dispersed throughout the entire house. And there are a lot of them, but when you put them all in one space, and so my son walked in and he said, "You trying to recreate the Garden of
So
Eden
what are
or
you
what?"
doing here?
And
Yeah.
I was like, huh,
Maybe so.
maybe I could add more plants. Speaking of my son, we got the most adorable text from him. He is in the beginnings of a relationship, in that stage where learning to share a presence and connection with another human being is so exciting. And there was a little moment of affection, and we got a text that said, "I have ascended."
She kissed me on the forehead. I have ascended. I'm like, yeah, you keep it right there, buddy.
And I feel like, though, it describes that,
The essence of real love,
yeah, there's this lightness, this vibrancy, this,
innocenceness.
yeah.
Yeah. Before all the baggage and shit we put on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you have to go back to being, not doing, right?
It's just almost, it's such a reminder. This is one of the things I love about being a grandparent, because you have zero responsibility for the kid. So I could just go and enjoy her. But being around her again last week was a reminder about all the little things that she can just be happy about.
The wonder
And
and
there's
awe
no
of life.
pressure not to be. I'm holding your hands and she's walking down the sidewalk and she's like giggling at herself because she's walking down the sidewalk with Papa holding my hand.
Yeah.
And it's just a reminder, why don't I just giggle because I'm enjoying life anymore?
She was playing with little stones and noticing all the little textures
Wanting
of
to
them.
eat every one of them.
She wanted to eat them too, but also was just so intrigued.
Yeah,
right?
it reminds you of the small stuff.
And trees and like everything caught her attention. The natural wonder, awe, and curiosity of just being alive. And I think that's what these things offer us, whether it's horseback riding or plants or sourdough or music, or maybe it's sports, or maybe it's something else. They bring us back to that state of creation, wonder, awe, experiencing instead of doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it goes back to a little bit of how I ended in our last podcast when I talked about just the gratitude part of it too. Just an appreciation of, I get to sit on the back of this horse and ride him. This is a 1,200-pound animal, and he shouldn't even want me back here to first of all, but we get to be a partner, and it's going to be perfect every time. No, but it brings me back the joy of life and just the gratitude and appreciation that I get to do this. And who knows how many days I get to do this? We don't know. And so taking every day and just appreciating it, living in the now. And again, if I say that out loud, it reminds me that's really where this simmering has got us to, is that we live in that moment.
Mhm.
We're not doing it so that I can get laid. I'm not doing it so that we can arouse each other. I'm not doing it so we can have some kind of magical connection. It's just a moment of being and recognizing that we are so blessed to just be with each other and to feel each other and to know that we can be partners in this way.
Right. And that connection is what feels so good. And when you can create the space for that connection, right? That's what helps cultivate it in your marriage. Again, you're not producing, you're learning how to go from that state of tasks and doing to this place of being. That, and it's that connection. That is so yummy in simmering. That is so yummy in any physical affection or sexual intimacy. It's not mechanics. It's not the extra things. It's that life-giving presence.
And I get why my male friends get so scared. We were talking about it in this group again, and I talked about it the other day when I was in the hotel and I snuck into this coaching that I wasn't supposed to be in. And I said, I know why you guys are so nervous about this, dudes. I know. They're like, why? Because every time we mention it, the wife gets the biggest grin on her face and she's planted the flag of, I cannot have any expectations of sex. There's no pushing me towards sex. And we're thinking, no, simmering is pretty close to it, right? The next thing is, because we're so concerned, because for all the years and decades of being rejected and having duty sex and being in a place of just utter terribleness around this, it really does take the ability to trust and to say, I am going to have these moments with you and I'm not going to have any outcome. And I'm going to trust that there will be a moment in time, sometime in the future, when you're like, this feels so good and I want to be with you. And then it will lean to intercourse. It will lean to sexual intercourse, because I truly think that's needed too. If we cut all that out, and if we just simmered the rest of our life, we wouldn't be fulfilled either.
Right. Right. Simmering is keeping the spark alive for when you want to light
So
the
you're
spark.
not lighting up from 0 degrees, you're lighting up from 90 degrees.
You've kept that attunement, like, oh, this is good. We enjoy
Right.
this. We like each other.
But it's trusting that's what it's going to be. And it's not going to be a plant the flag and like we can cuddle the rest of our lives and be happy.
That's what they all fear, though.
I tell you, it's all, and I know, I can see it. And I can see the wives plant the flag of, yeah, I think I can cuddle all my rest of my life and be happy. At the beginning.
At the beginning. I don't think that's what they really want, but that's the feeling.
The pressure is off finally.
Yes, the pressure is finally off. And they have been stuck in this conundrum or trap for so long. It's, oh, I want to be with you, and I finally can.
And we have to trust them enough. And I guarantee you that if you're able to simmer and really not put expectations on there, there will be a boiling point. There will be a boiling point. And it will shock you sometimes because there was never that boiling point before. And talk about who doesn't initiate, who cares? Doesn't really matter. It's not doesn't matter.
Outcome focused.
But as you simmer and you're able to trust and be in that moment, then I don't know how to put this. I feel like it's a mutual initiation.
You know what I'm saying? It's mutual desire. It's collaborative.
Where I felt like I was called the higher desire person before. I don't see that discrepancy anymore. And we kind of got rid of that terms because we wanted one better or less. But there is this desire of frequency when it's always there. I could have it 24/7 and be fine. Amy's like, that's exhausting. I could never do that. I was hoping for once a week, right? At times. But the frequency doesn't matter. But what I'm trying to say is that I no longer feel like I have such a greater desire for sexual intercourse and you have such a less desire for sexual intercourse. I have to pull you along. It's mutually exclusive, right? Because we've stayed in this moment of simmering and it leads to a boil point where it's just, we both desire it. Mm-hmm. And it's no more me trying to convince you that you desire it.
Which isn't very fun.
No, because she says no.
It's not fun for me.
Or she does it at obligation, and that's even worse.
Even worse.
Even worse.
So, takeaways. Remember that eroticism, your own eroticism, is something for you to cultivate, and it can't come from just the bedroom. You own it. It's a part of your life to learn to curate that aliveness, that energy, that vibrancy in yourself, and to find healthy ways to integrate that aliveness. There are lots. As I talk to so many clients, I am sort of in awe and amazement of how many avenues there are to cultivate this. It's curiosity, it's exploration of the world we live in with endless wonders and awes. And they bless us. to have this sense of ourself and vibrancy. I keep saying those same words because I don't know how else to describe it, but you just feel alive again. And that's what you want to learn to cultivate. And even for spontaneous males, it does start outside the bedroom.
Yep.
And then you can bring that in. And if you're both feeling dead and numb and trying to use sex to find that aliveness, it's not going to go so well.
Sex can be the most replenishing thing in the whole entire world. The number one most replenishing thing to make you feel alive again. If you've gotten to a place where you've cultivated it to a point where it will allow you to do that.
Or it can be the most
destructive, soul-sucking.
Soul-sucking.
Yeah, and that's the crazy part of it, but that's usually the case. The greatest results usually come with the greatest risks, right?
Yes.
And so when you get to that point, you know that this can be the most replenishing thing, or it can be the most soul-sucking thing. It takes you in your ability to learn what gives you life and happiness and joy, and you've got to own that all by yourself, and then bring those desires to the erotic, relationship with your spouse, the intimate relationship with your spouse.
And then that bedroom, like Esther Perel says, just becomes another place that eroticism is practiced. Yeah. It's not the only place.
Right.
It's another place.
The kitchen counter, the couch,
the art of eroticism,
the back of the car.
Practiced.
Oh, you're not talking about Mile High in the bathroom.
Oh, Greggy.
This all to be said that this is a lifetime pursuit. It doesn't end. You're not going to reach a point.
It doesn't end. I want to have wonder and awe and excitement my whole life.
You're not going to get perfect at lovemaking and then that's it. There's
you don't ascend to the mountain and then live there forever.
There's ebbs and flows. There's frustrating times. There's times of great excitement. But that's what life is. And taking it all in and saying, I want to live that. I am willing to have the ebbs to get the flows. I'm willing to take the risks to be able to have a true relationship. And when you can do that, you can grow and breathe. And I never thought it was possible. So this was a shocker to me that this eroticism can grow and breathe between you. And we would love to help you in any way. The greatest thing that we found is we had great coaches and examples for us that have been able to help us through the places where we were blind. Even when we thought we got it right, we got it completely opposite wrong. And it really required someone that knew what they were talking about to say, yeah, good try, but you're on the opposite side of that coin. And you're not your roommates. And that's not where we want you to be. And we would love to be that help for you. Nothing special about us. We've just been able to practice some of these things in real life and then have had the huge blessing of being able to coach hundreds of people and see it work and be able to see the things that people step into that don't allow them to move forward and help you get around those things. So please come join us on langfordlifecoaching.com. There's a free consult there. Sign up for our community. Come join us and talk with us. It's free. There's no risk there. Just to have fun. If you're against fun, I guess, don't show up.
If you don't like fun, don't come.
Yeah, if you're a fun sucker upper, then we don't want you.
What is that?
Someone that sucks up the fun. Don't sign up. But if you're not one, come have fun with us. And we appreciate it.
Fun sucker upper.
Yeah. Until next time.
Keep undressing your intimacy.
Bye-bye.